The DeanBeat: The Tragedy of the Star Wars Battlefront II Loot Crates. Electronic Arts made a great game in Star Wars Battlefront II. But it stepped in a pile of controversy by adding an unpopular monetization system known as loot crates. Those crates appear in a lot of games, mostly free-to-play titles, where you pay real money for the crates and a chance to get some good loot. Gamers viewed the loot crate scheme as a money grab. As of last night, EA decided to back off on the controversial microtransactions for the loot crates. Call it a victory for consumers, but this is going to come at a price for everyone. In console games, where you already pay $60 for a full game, they have been taboo. People feel like they've already paid once, and they don't want to pay again to unlock something else. EA pushed the envelope with Battlefront II, removing the traditional fee for downloadable content, DLC, such as new maps and characters. That was good for gamers in keeping the community whole. But EA also added in loot crates that you could buy for real money. Those loot crates not only gave you cosmetic stuff, they also helped accelerate weapon unlocks and the use of heroes and villains, such as Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Battlefront II: EA is said to have gotten rid of the whole DLC thing with their introduction of microtransaction galore, said one gamer on Steam. We've traded one type of evil for another in the form of casting aside DLC for loot crates. This kind of sentiment has been expressed about other games, like Middle-earth: Shadow of War, where the final ending was locked behind a number of grind-like missions, and fans fretted that they could shorten that grind by buying loot crates. But EA's problem looks worse because Battlefront II, whose predecessor sold 14 million units, is one of the biggest titles of the year. Above, 4 human players play as heroes and take on 4 villains in Star Wars Battlefront II's Heroes vs. Villains multiplayer mode. Battlefront II launches today on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. But it is sad that this loot crate controversy has dominated the conversation. And it's not necessarily the fault of oversensitive gamers who are raging. This problem is also a case of EA shooting itself in the foot. If you are a developer on this game, imagine the horror. You've spent a couple of years polishing this game, but it's going to suffer because of the way monetization was built into the loot crate system. Gamers have been strident, and EA has had to retreat and deal with the growing outrage. Listen, the Battlefront II issue isn't about pissy gamers complaining. It's about what the industry has turned into and what people won't tolerate anymore. If you purchase the game, you are basically telling EA it's okay, when in fact, it isn't. Star Wars Battlefront II, Dalton Davis, at Dalton Davis, November 16, 2017. And other games like Overwatch, loot crates unlock purely cosmetic items that don't affect gameplay or the progression through the multiplayer ladder, which gets you access to better gear and makes you more powerful in multiplayer. Above, starfighter combat in Star Wars Battlefront II. But EA tied its star card system to more than just cosmetic items, and that made the gamers mad. It reeked of pay-to-win schemes, where players who spent the most money can outplay those who don't. Such schemes are okay in China, but not so in the West. Loot boxes, by the way, are also controversial for another reason. When you buy one, you don't know what you'll get. Sometimes you get something good. Sometimes it's bad. That's a lot like a slot machine. They're akin to gambling, and some regulators think they should be regulated. In Japan, loot crates known as gacha systems were forcibly changed by regulators as some personalities became addicted to the chance to win big in purchases. Back to EA. The trouble popped up when EA showed off its beta and left gamers to interpret the loot crate system. In the beta tests, you could unlock things like weapons in multiplayer over time. Each class of character, such as a heavy gunner, had 4 guns. One was free. The others had to be unlocked. You could unlock them with points, but players noted how long it took to get those points through online battles. EA clarified at the time that some things you couldn't buy with money. But players still had complaints. You could unlock guns through credits that you earned through loot crates. And those loot crates could either be earned through gameplay or purchased with real money. The crystals that you purchased could effectively be used to unlock better weapons as well as heroes and villains. One fan estimated that it would take $80 or 40 hours to unlock Darth Vader. That's a long time to unlock a character in